Welcome in to, dare I say, a special edition of Sport Ball. I'm your boy Sam. With me, as always, are my friends Kyle and Seth, and I am pumped, gentlemen. I am fully torqued for this episode. How are you guys feeling?
Relaxed, calm.
Could it be?
No, it's been quite a wild time. NBA trade deadline. We've got the Super Bowl in whatever, 3 days, 4 days. Yeah.
Let's go.
We need to play. Yeah, we need to play some of those like timeout at a basketball game music.
Yeah. when the little cows come flying in from the parachutes. As Seth mentioned, the Super Bowl is on Sunday, the biggest game of the year. And yet, as well as that, the NBA trade deadline just ended today. And it was the most wild trade deadline in recent memory, in our memories, which aren't very long. Many, many moves were made. And I just, to both of them to happen at the same time, I just don't know how I can get through the week without a palpitation. And I didn't. I had several. Also, You know what? Before we talk sports, I have a bone to pick with America. Not America, really. The world. You know how I have a penchant for having 3 liquids in front of me.
That's an understatement.
Right now I have a beer, a tea, and a water. As is
You're
my
a coffee short.
This is my way. And I've been seeing Seth sent me a TikTok
You say it like that
about this, and then Matt sent me another one today, and it's like some trending thing where people are like, oh, I feel like the peak of luxury is having 3 drinks at once, and then they'll show their 3 drinks, including the one Matt sent me today. This guy was showing a mimosa, a coffee, and a water at brunch, which is I basically patented. What goes on here?
Clearly not.
I'm telling you, someone has been following our friend group's lives for the past 10 years and are bringing everything back that we've done and becoming TikTok famous from it.
I know. I mean, are we going to get royalties from this? I mean, what goes on here?
Maybe we're just not as unique as we thought we were. No, that can't be it.
I'm in the TikTok Discord. I can reach out to someone and ask on the royalties.
Please do. If you can get in the CEO's ear and just let him know that sheesh was invented by you and 3 liquids was invented by me. There's got to be some money in that.
The whole beans thing on TikTok.
Beans as well, which I still don't understand, but I hope to one day.
Before we get into
right.
things, should we talk about how I might just be like the greatest Wordle player of all time?
Oh my God.
No, probably not.
I don't want to talk about it. That's for sure.
It's now 4 out of the last 9 days. I've guessed it in 2 guesses.
That is honestly insane. And I'm pretty pissed about it, to be honest.
It might be 10 days now. It's Thursday.
But you know what? The two isn't even impressive. It's just luck.
Not today's.
What was today's?
You had a good. The first word that you guessed like allowed you to have a decent chance at it too.
What was your first guess?
I'm not
today?
Spoiling it. I start with raise every time.
Raise.
The answer was pause. So I had 3 out of 5.
That's a good one.
And usually with my second guess, I tried to incorporate the vowels that I haven't used yet, L or N, and neither of those made sense. So the only thing left was a P, baby. Pause. This one. It's
honestly, I wake up every day a little disheartened that you've gotten so many 2s, and I've only gotten 1 2, and it was the greatest day of my life, I think.
You got to.
We'll just have to hope over the next 20 years it'll even out. I'm sure we'll be playing Wordle in 20
There's
years.
a new version of Wordle for math called Nerdle Game. I looked at it and I couldn't even fathom how anyone would ever win it. You have to do multiplication, addition, subtraction. Like you have to guess a math equation to get an answer, but you don't know the answer or obviously what numbers are included in the equation or if it's multiplication, addition, subtraction. It's wild.
There's also a Taylor Swift Wordle, which they for some reason didn't call Twordle. So I don't know why I wasn't consulted on that. But I tried it one day. I didn't get it at all because it was like one of her ex-boyfriends. So, but anyway, this isn't a Wordle podcast, and this is already gonna be 2 hours long since it's the greatest week in sports history. But I think we should start with the NBA trade deadline. What do you think about that?
Yeah,
I mean, the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl. People are gonna watch it. You know,
it's old news by now.
So the Olympics are going on too, by the way.
Yeah.
USA sucks now, so it doesn't matter.
We do?
Mm-hmm.
We have 4 golds already.
Not enough.
All right, we gotta dive into this NBA trade deadline because one of the most wild trades in recent memory just occurred. Ben Simmons for James Harden. I wanted it.
Oh.
I wanted it 2 years ago. I finally got it now, but it was a different team that received it, if you would believe it. The Brooklyn Nets received Ben Simmons, as well as Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, a first round pick this year, which they can defer to next year if they want, and a 2027 first, top 8 protected. So, and it doesn't
An
even defer
incredible
after
haul.
that. And then the Sixers get James Harden. You might have heard of him on this podcast. I'm sure you have. And Paul Millsap, which if they ever play a game in the Applebee's,
Best.
I mean, he's
Best there is.
valuable. So, man, I mean, hose me down. Am I right? This is just one of those. I think it could honestly work out okay for both teams. But I don't know. I just, it really threw me. What are your first reactions to it?
Slap me twice and call me Sandy. You know what I mean? It's like you said, we've been clamoring for it. Ben Simmons to be surrounded by purely shooters to just play defense essentially and distribute as needed. I think it gives the Nets that a lot of extra depth, especially with like Curry to play small. Ben can rotate to the 5. Durant can rotate to the 5. Like it gives them a lot more avenues. I feel like not as many. They're not as restricted. Obviously, they're might not have those, a superstar scorer on the court at all times if they were to sit Kyrie and Durant at the same time. But even still, you got Seth Curry now, who obviously, as we know, is the better Curry brother. So, and then for Philly, when Embiid gets to sit, now there's another player on the court that could truly be relied on. So it really gives them that added flexibility to not have to push Joel 40 minutes a game if it's not necessary.
So Seth, before I throw to you, let's focus on the Nets fit first. I agree with what you say, Kyle. As long as Kyrie is playing, which, as we know, he's only playing road games right now. We'll see if that changes by the playoffs. Yeah.
Even if it's not by the playoffs, they'll just have to pay a fine, I think.
Yeah, it's a little murky on if they will, because the NBA says you can't break any laws. So the NBA would also fine you maybe, or do something more rash. So we'll see what happens.
We're also seeing mask mandates and stuff. Well, I guess it doesn't matter if he's not vaccinated though, right?
I mean, it's all fluid, but definitely if Kyrie plays, it's a good basketball fit, I think, because, Kyrie and KD are so elite at shooting and ball handling, right? Where Simmons doesn't have to be the point guard then on that team, and he can fit that role of screening and diving and playing great defense.
I don't know if it's like thinking too much about it, but are the Nets better suited to place in the bottom half of the East so that they're forced to play more away games?
It's not ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous, but they probably, like, if the mandate is still in effect, they probably are going to tank the last few games to try to make sure they have more road games than home games. This is the world we live in right now. It's
the game
outrageous.
Inside the game.
So, Seth, what do you think about the fit wise, at least, with Simmons on that Nets team?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how much better you could draw it up if you were just creating a team for Ben Simmons. I think the question still remains, can Ben perform well in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Will having star players like Kevin Durant and Kyrie around him, taking the load off of him for shooting, will that alleviate, the pressure that he feels? Or is it still going to be there? And last 4 minutes of a playoff game, intentional foul, Simmons going to the line, shooting 30%,
Yeah.
like are those demons going to come back to him? Would it have been better for him to spend a couple years playing for Detroit or Sacramento?
Right. It's still a big stage at least, right?
Going to Sacramento could never be better for a player's career, but somewhere where it's like not quite in the limelight.
Yeah.
That being said, I think my biggest takeaway of this trade is it's one of the very, very rare trades between two contenders, especially in the same conference, but where somehow both of them immediately get better for this year, which only really happens because Ben Simmons is just not playing. And so it's almost like anything would be an improvement over that. I mean, they lost Seth Curry. So it's basically like going from Seth to James Harden. And then the Nets get more depth. James wasn't happy there. So he was just being his same pissy self and not trying. So basically anything would have been better than that too. And
Can we
project that, Ben Simmons can get back to a borderline all-star kind of form, and certainly defensively and playmaking wise, which is all Brooklyn needs. So pretty wild that suddenly they're both like going to be contenders in the Eastern Conference. And my biggest wish now for the rest of the season is that the two of them match up against each other in the playoffs.
Please, that's all I want. That would be incredible.
The storylines.
Holy shit.
Unreal.
Let's touch on that Harden point real quick of why I'm still curious why he's unhappy. He was unhappy in the situation. I understand being unhappy with Kyrie and his unwillingness to get vaccinated in order to play all the games. Obviously, I'd be pissed at Kyrie. He has every right to be pissed at Kyrie. My question is why he wasn't willing to just wait till Durant comes back healthy after the All-Star break and see if they can make a run in the finals. I'm just a little at loss for why he wasn't willing to wait that. Maybe he just really missed being with Daryl Morey and the way
it sounded like.
Yeah, I mean, that could be part of it. But if I were him, at least, I would have been like, all right, we have a pretty good shot at the finals. Once KD comes back, let me just ride this out and I'll leave in the offseason,
The thing is, again, he was traded similar to Houston. He was essentially demanding where he wanted to go, and was traded to another team where he has a similar opportunity to make it to the finals and win based on the team that's already there.
Yeah, but is the grass greener? I mean, his team that he was on was the title favorite by, and I obviously realize their extenuating circumstances, but they were the title favorite beginning of the year, and they're one of the greatest theoretical teams ever assembled. So, it's interesting. I wonder if more will come out about like if he really just hated Kyrie, or I think there is already some of that stuff trickling out. Maybe that's the biggest part. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw something about Kyrie being happy once he found out that Harden was essentially demanding this trade, ready to get on without him. So,
and Kyrie and KD are tight, and Harden isn't really with them, so he's like the third wheel,
So I haven't watched the full thing yet, and I didn't realize it was happening, but LeBron and KD had their All-Star game draft today.
Oh my God, so good.
And at the end, first of all, it's kind of interesting. Like, I always find it interesting who they pick. But the last two players left at the very end were James Harden and Rudy Gobert. On the opposite ends of the Stogie Boy spectrum, and Durant was up to pick, and Durant went on this whole monologue about, well, LeBron's got a lot of size. He's got Giannis, and I think I really need to get some size on my team. So I think I'm gonna go Gobert. And then the whole like TNT crew was like joking about it. LeBron had to like cover his face with the clipboard numerous times, just because the undercurrent was like, well, I'm not taking James Harden right now. So
honestly, great move by LeBron to save Harden for Durant to see if he would take him. Is that the clutchest thing he's ever done in his career? I don't know. I mean, it's up there. What about flipping to the other side on the Sixers? I mean, they got the better player as it stands right now. I mean, one of the players isn't even playing basketball right now, so that's something you have to consider. They got to pay him in the offseason, you would assume, and it looks like he's going to get a 4-year, $223 million extension that takes him through year 35. No, not 35. It's worse than that. 37. He's going to be 37 at the end of that. So that could be one of those that ages like Wall and Westbrook. I mean, maybe a little better than Westbrook because he can actually shoot. But certainly you're probably not going to be getting your value on Harden at the end of that. But, Kyle, if they win the finals before he really begins his steep decline, it's all going to be worth it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I say it all the time. If you have the window to win a championship, you do what you got to do, whether it requires blowing up future potential. Like, not every team has a chance, obviously, every year. We're looking at just a handful of teams usually, and Philly's in that position where they have the opportunity to do it. Really is a non-playing Ben Simmons and Seth Curry going to help you more than James Harden is down the stretch. Obviously, I'm sure Seth is going to bring up about Harden in the playoffs, but now you have Embiid to defer to if you need to. But on the opposite side of that is in the playoffs, we've seen Embiid get, limited to an extent by some of the top teams that are also in the East. So overall, though, you have to assume, and any right-minded person would, that James Harden gives you better value this year than a player that's not playing and is a locker room headache and Seth Curry.
Yeah. I mean, Harden's bad in the playoffs, but he's not as bad as Simmons. So that's something they can hang their hat on at least. And they were able to keep Thibault and Maxey, two of their young studs that they were really reticent to part with. So it's just one of those trades where I feel like both teams could really see this as a valuable trade in the coming years. And the craziest part is they're in the same conference, both vying for the championship right next to each other in the standings. Like, I can't remember the last time that happened when two true contenders traded with each other, especially mid-year, right? When they're both vying for those top playoff spots. It's very interesting.
Yeah. And that's just that's the biggest trade, but it's not the only one we need to talk about.
The biggest trade. I think you're forgetting the fact that Daniel Tice is back on the Celtics, baby.
He's back, baby. Let's go. Let's go to. Boy, I have a lot to say on a couple of these. Let's go to Sabonis for Tyrese Halliburton. Man,
I
almost forgot about that trade.
So the Pacers get Tyrese Halliburton. They get Buddy Hield and Tristan Thompson as filler. And the Sacramento Kings get Domantas Sabonis, Jeremy Lamb, Justin Holiday, and a second. So, boy, I'll tell you what, I love Sabonis, but basically the Kings have 3 point guards, and they traded the one away that they shouldn't have, that they absolutely under no circumstances should have traded. And they ended up paying the one that they shouldn't have paid at all, and now they're stuck with him. It's just, I feel like players like Tyrese Halliburton do not get traded this early into their careers. He's 21 years old. He's in his second season.
They shouldn't. Any right-minded team would never do that.
He's making $5 million, and and he's shooting 41% from the three. And at time and time again, when De'Aaron Fox is out, he has shown that he can run the offense efficiently and with great success. And they said, no, why don't we go ahead and trade you off to the Pacers? And the biggest thing, maybe, is, okay, we know the Kings are the laughing stock of the NBA, right? This is side note, actually. I was talking to my friend Colin today, who doesn't know anything about sports, and we were trying to see how many NBA teams he could name. And he named like 20, and then like I could get him to like 4 or 5 more. And then the one team he didn't even know existed was the Kings.
Sounds about
That
right.
just goes to show you. And they haven't made the playoffs in 15 years. 15 years tying an NBA
Tied
record.
for longest in history. Yeah, I was thinking about it, and it's like I know that maybe they're making comparisons because they're both European centers, but there was kind of talk when Sabonis was on the market. They're like, yeah, we want a deal similar to what Orlando got back for Vucevic last year. And this is like if a year ago. Sorry, am I frozen? Can you hear me?
We
I can hear you, but you are frozen.
Excellent. So this is like if a year ago Orlando had traded Vucevic and gotten John Morant back. Like,
Honestly.
can you imagine?
Oh my God, it's so bad. And the thing is, what I was going to say at the end of that is that he was like the one who wanted to stay with the Kings, it seemed like, which no player ever does. He was like a culture setter, and he was like, I'm going to turn this team around. I'm going to build a culture here. I'm going to be a leader. And then they traded him. He was like, I guess they didn't want me. You know, I was going to give my all to the Kings. Oh my God, it's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to shout out Hanif Abdurraqib on Twitter, who put it best.
Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton said, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna help change the culture and history of the franchise. And the Kings were like, whoa there, I think that's enough, pal. Get out of here.
Can't have that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean the Kings just time after time completely self-destruct. It's like a couple years ago, right? Everyone in the world is like, Luka Doncic is the best player in the draft. Take Luka. Take Luka. Marvin Bagley.
Oh, Marvin.
What? And then he also just got traded, and now Tyrese Halliburton falls to them at 12.
And it's a
Turns out to be
godsend.
the gem of the draft, and we're like, wow, the Kings, maybe they can recover. Get them out of there.
They're 15 games below 500, and they were buyers at the deadline.
Hey, but they beat Minnesota last night.
They did. They did. You know,
all thanks to DeMontis.
I'm glad they kept Fox, who was shooting 25% from 3. That's that's what you want with your non-shooting center you just acquired. I mean, Sabonis is a better player right now, and I wish he had gone anywhere else. He could have helped many playoff teams. Instead, he has to go to the hellhole that is the Kings, and I'm kind of worried about him. I'm worried for him.
I think, yeah, he honestly might just fall off the map, right? He might just like stop trying.
Be playing in China in a couple years.
Oh God, man, and I just don't know. So let's stop lamenting the Kings. Let's talk about the fit on the Pacers. How do you think Brogdon and Halliburton fit together? And also Buddy and Duarte, their new rookie guard. We have kind of a crowded backcourt there, right, Kyle? What do you think? Do you think they're going to move Buddy again at the end of the season, or what do you think they're going to do with that rotation?
I think you probably keep Buddy Ray and get rid of. Why can't I think of his name now?
I think
he
Brogdon
barely played this year.
Brogdon, yeah.
Not Brogdon.
Oh,
who's the who lit up the bubble?
TJ Warren.
Oh, TJ Warren.
But he's more of a small forward, though.
Yeah, but Buddy
still would have
flex
4
the
guards.
small forward. Yeah, he's played small forward.
You could maybe get away with those 3 guards. I wonder if they try to move Brogdon because of his.
I think Brogdon's contract is up at the end of this year.
That's what I was just trying to look up. Actually,
no, they extended him. That they couldn't trade him because they extended Brogdon.
Yeah, you might be right.
He just started his extension. Yeah, so I just wonder what they could even get for Brogdon, given how he's injured every year. You know.
He'd be a good player for like a team that's in need of a, a point guard that's not selfish, but
He's a really good player. He just can't stand the court. That's the only
Yeah.
problem it's been, right?
it looks like he's only under contract through this next season, right?
Yeah, but they extend. I
Oh
swear.
no, they upcoming contract extensions.
Yeah, because he couldn't get traded before December 15th because he just signed an extension.
Right.
So
Yeah,
anyway, I
mean,
mean,
to answer your question, Sam, I think Halliburton could fit with any team in the league. He's just the type of player.
You saw
fit
him
anywhere.
We saw
he's
him
the
in
type of player you don't
Sacramento
want to give up.
with Fox, who is
Yeah.
a dominant, on-ball player. So
Yeah, he fit
Yeah,
with Fox.
I'm
Who's
not
very
worried
hard
about
to fit with.
I think
Yeah.
Halliburton's the better player between him and Brogdon. But
Yeah.
I'm a Hallie stan, so
I mean, that's who I wanted the
Who
Bulls to
isn't?
take.
I know a couple years ago we talked about
Yeah,
it.
we got Lonzo, who's the older Hallie, so it's fine. All right, well, I predict a further playoff drought for the Kings. You heard it here first. But glad they went all in, being 15 games under 500. Another couple teams down to the standings made a trade. CJ McCollum, finally, after years of trade rumors, do we need to break up Dame and CJ? It's finally been done. He goes to the Pelicans. They get him, Larry Nance Jr., who just had a surgery for some reason that they maybe weren't aware about. I don't know. Tony Snell. Does he still have something left in the tank? Who knows? The Blazers get Josh Hart, who me and Kyle have always sneaky loved. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who they flipped immediately to the Jazz to get Joe Ingles.
To get a pick, really.
Right. Some salary filler, and then a 2022 first and 2 seconds. Now, the 2022 first, basically, if it lands from 5 to 14, they get it. If it doesn't, then they get it. Then it goes to years to come. So
this is another would land between 5 and 14.
You would think.
Yeah.
This is another funny one because these two teams are a half game apart in the standings, and yet one of them blew up their team and the other one went all in. Now we understand the reasons for that, right? The Pelicans want to keep Zion and they want to keep him happy. And the Blazers have lost Dame for the rest of the year, so they're ready to rebuild around him. But very interesting trade. What did you think, Seth? You are the resident Blazers truther, he who picked them to win the finals this year. And they are now tanking and traded all their players. That's got to be the worst prediction we've ever made on this podcast, right?
Yeah, that award goes to Seth.
Outrageous. Maybe fine. And I pick them to win or just make it terrible.
I don't remember
regardless,
actually.
But
yeah.
I think by all accounts, the Dame CJ backcourt had run its course. They'd given it a fair shot, and I think they just needed to shake up there. I'm a little bit disappointed on their behalf, like that they couldn't get more back for CJ, but they got some pieces. It seems like they're going to try to not necessarily use those draft picks, or at least all of them, and instead kind of use that as potential trade assets to get other players, because it seems like they're not trying to do a full rebuild. They're trying to be good next year with Dame, but just get better players, with the assets they're acquiring. I don't know how well that'll work, but I think it's probably worth a shot. And I think it makes sense for the Pels. And when you think of even just next year, Zion coming back, if we just pretend that he's fully healthy, who's to say? But let's just say, and then you have Ingram, CJ, that's a pretty solid top three. And then add in Jonas as well. I don't know. That's not a bad core if Zion can be what he's shown. So
yeah, I worry.
I think it kind of makes sense. I think Portland maybe could have gotten more, but they got some picks out of it, some decent players. And hopefully for my fantasy team, CJ will be able to blast some of the Pels.
I think they got positive return for CJ, and I was reading some things about how people thought they might have thrown in a pick to get rid of CJ because he's paid so much. He's paid like $30 million and
True.
he's not even an all-star. And it's kind of like, I don't know. It's so weird in the NBA. It's like, yeah, but he's better than anyone you're putting in the deal, you know? But what do you think about the fit in the Pelicans, Kyle? I do wonder about defensively how Ingram, Zion, and CJ fit together. None of them are stalwarts, certainly, but maybe with that Herb Jones steal, you know, maybe they make it work on the defensive end.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we really have to think about it because Zion might not play another game in the NBA. So,
are you reporting this?
No, but I will say he's bigger than Khalil Mack at this point, and probably not as strong. So something's got to happen here before he does come back. And even though we thought that bet was a shoo-in that you made with Molina, that he would make an all-NBA team at any point in his career, that might not happen now.
Oh my God, I'm going to lose that bet, aren't I?
That's incredible. I don't take a lot of stock into players' body size. Like,
I don't know. You talked about it a lot with Harden back in the day.
I think you're thinking of Sam. I think it makes a difference how hard somebody tries and if they're in the right conditioning, right? But body types are different. Different people can be able to sprint the whole game at a bigger size than others. So
I think the size really matters for health. You know, it's like a lot to put on his lower body, which we've already seen, right? A lot of lower body injuries.
A lot of people have lower body injuries who weigh 100 pounds less too. So, I mean, we just talked about how Malcolm Brogdon's injury prone and nobody's talking about how big he is. So I don't agree with the correlation there. But I think the concern that I have for Zion is the injuries themselves and and the seeming like lack of urgency to come back. It's like, does he really want to be there? Is he motivated?
Mm-hmm.
Does he care enough? Is he in the gym doing everything he can to rehab? Like, from the stories that we've heard, I don't know that I'm convinced of that. So that makes me a little nervous in addition to the injury history, which was also my principal complaint about Harden, both when he forced his way out of Houston and just now in Brooklyn. Like, I prefer players who try hard. So, yeah, we'll see what's Zion, but
yeah,
I would definitely be more nervous about that bet than whenever you made it.
I know, right?
So I will say the Herb Jones pick seems to be, I don't know if Seth's going to say something or if he's just frozen in such a position.
I think he's frozen.
But
he's back.
One of the things that I think this does help when Zion does return is it gives them what should be a reliable scorer, since we know that ideally I think Zion would kind of be that point forward position, be more of a ball dominant player and distributor, whereas McCollum can do that, but he's so used to playing off ball, I feel like, that, you know, I think that kind of complements that team probably better than we think, but, you know, I don't know where they're going to go in the West anymore.
Yeah, the thing about
the emergence of like the Grizzlies and, you know.
I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, yeah, they're probably still in the bottom half fighting for the play-in anyway. I mean, the nice thing about CJ is that he is an elite shooter, and you always want more of that around Zion, right? He's become an elite off the dribble 3-point shooter, which they're sorely lacking on this team. And a catch, he's a great catch and shoot 3-point shooter as well. And you always want more spacing around Zion, right? So that's going to help offensively, at least once he comes back. I'm a little worried that they're kind of doing what the Cavs did when they had LeBron, where they just go all in every year and try to get veterans, and then they're hard capped, and then they like don't really have any flexibility to do anything, and then he just leaves, you know? Like, now they're I mean, CJ makes 33 million. So they're basically in the tax now, and they're limiting their flexibility. They made a lot of moves recently, like not keeping Lonzo, not keeping Drew, and just kind of like trying to keep getting more stabs at the apple around Zion. And I just worry that that's going to really hinder them in the future, and he's just going to leave anyway.
I sort of see the analogy you're making. I don't know that it's totally accurate because they have been trying to get draft picks a lot, and the Cavs were doing the opposite.
I guess it's more like what they did with Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of life
is
as a
CJ DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's kind of life as a small market team when you get a star, isn't it? You're always desperate to keep that star. Cleveland and New Orleans are certainly not the biggest NBA markets, so we'll see how it plays out. This one, I really have to. Someone needs to hold me back on this one. Kristaps gets traded to the Wizards for, I think, a waste management dumpster. The Wizards receive Kristaps in a second, and the Mavericks get Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans, who are 2 out of the 3 worst players in the league, along with Robert Covington. Let me just explain to you what's going on here, okay? If I may.
I'll allow it.
So the Mavericks trade 2 firsts for Kristaps Porzingis, okay? They get several years later, they get 2 shitty players back and throw in a second. They throw in a second. May I read to you Bertan's contract and his shooting this year? 5 years, $80 million. He's shooting 32% for 3. Let me ask you, can he defend a piece of paper? No, he cannot. Also, he's getting DNP CDs on an $80 million contract, and they threw in a second to get him and Spencer Dinwiddie. You might ask yourself, well, maybe Spencer Dinwiddie's shooting well. That is incorrect, actually. He's shooting 37% from the field, the whole field, the entire field, 31% from 3, averaging 12, 4, and 6. That's really good. No, it's not. So they didn't even save any money
from
either.
The court,
they weren't
though?
even like, oh,
he's not
we're
playing
getting
football.
What'd you say?
I said, what's he shooting from the court, though? He's not playing football.
That's a good point. He's actually 60% from the court.
There you go.
They also didn't even save any money. You might be like, oh, at least they got rid of Kristaps' gargantuan contract. No, they're paying more for these 2 players than they are for Kristaps. Can someone explain to me what's going on here?
The Luka and Kristaps experiment didn't work.
That's fine. Can you do something that helps your team now or in the future in any way?
Who do you think wanted Kristaps, though? Probably no one after seeing him play either.
He's at the peak of his value right now. His recent value, at least. He's been playing well.
Still think he's trash, but
He is.
Here's the thing. Not too long ago, probably a year and a half ago, we were talking about Dinwiddie being the player that we didn't think Brooklyn should trade between him and Karis LeVert. This wasn't very long ago.
Were we thinking that?
I don't remember that. I hate both of them.
This was before Harden, obviously. Who else was there at the time? Was Durant? That was the year Durant was out.
A couple good years for the Nets, and maybe he has something left. I think Sam, to explain this to you, I think it was Luka wanted Kristaps out. They didn't get along, didn't like playing together. He was done with them. Cuban's going to do, well, he's going to make sure it happens. Not that he's necessarily like brokering the deal, but Cuban wants to do anything to satisfy Luka. And so the Mavs are like, all right, who's going to take Kristaps off their hands? And not many people raised their hand. So this is what they ended up with. I think, yeah, he's been playing better, the last 6 weeks than the rest of his time.
Entire time. Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think many teams are going to just buy into that and be like, oh, look, Kristaps is back. Yeah, I'll give you something good back. Like if the 3 of us think he's still ass, why do you think NBA front offices are gonna think he's good again?
Is it too much to ask to get at least one decent player or cap flexibility though? Like just trade it for expirings and a pick, or trade it for someone who traded for one player who can shoot more than 31%.
Should have traded him for Halliburton, honestly.
I understand that like he's not a positive asset, and I understand that this was the time to move him. I just hate what they got in return.
I think Bertans returns to that magic of a 40+% 3-point shooter. What are you going to be saying once that happens?
Bertans is game.
What are you going to be saying once that happens?
His game mirrors mine, and that's not a good sign. Okay, he plays like I do on a basketball court.
He's the Latvian laser.
Oh God, I hate it.
I don't know. I think this was not one of the most notable trades of the trade deadline, anyways. So,
well, we're on our fourth trade that we've talked about.
Truly, negatively or that positively impacts either team. So it's like a wash.
I just realized today we had 2 Latvian players traded for each other and 2 German players traded for each other. No way that's happened before.
No way.
I mean, how many Latvians are in the league? 2?
I assume so.
It's going to be one less after Bertans is playing in China in a year, but this is the worst trade I've seen in a while, I think.
Can Bertans dunk?
I assume so. Can anyone in the NBA not dunk?
Steph could barely dunk.
He can do it though. He gets up there.
Yeah, I guess that's
that one time he slipped though. And then airballed a 3 afterwards. Tough one. That's why Seth is the better brother.
Yeah.
Well, that's do we want to hit any more trades? I mean, there are a few more, but we're getting down to the less notable ones. Any other ones you guys want to talk about? I
mean, Seth mentioned Daniel Tice. I don't know if he really wants to talk about it.
What about Karis LeVert? That was an interesting one.
Yeah.
Was it?
I mean, it was less interesting all the ones I've named so far. That's why I laid it to the last. But
yeah, I mean, I'm just with Karis. It's like, can he be better than a ball stopper who's not that efficient at scoring? Like I kind of like him. I like watching him play in a sense. He's very fluid and smooth, but he's just not as efficient as I would like, and he hasn't shown much of an ability to play make. So I don't know. We'll see.
I don't really know if he needs to play make though. With
Kyle, tell him what the trade was.
What was the trade?
Just tell him. The Cavs received Karis LeVert in the second for Rubio in the first, lottery protected in 2 seconds. Basically, he's their replacement for Colin Sexton, right? That scoring spark plug guard.
But a better defender.
Is he a good defender?
I think he's better than Colin Sexton.
Wow. Davis Bertans is always better than. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, I think it's a good fit. He's exactly what they need, right? And you just hope that, like Seth said, he can kind of fit in the offense without taking over too much. But on a good team, I think he probably can fit that role.
I mean, as long as they don't have to keep starting Dean Wade, I think they're a better team.
Do not speak ill of my favorite D Wade.
Here's the thing about that. Is he the best D Wade the Cavs have ever had?
Easily.
I think he is.
I mean,
all right. Is that it for NBA trade deadline? I'm less sweaty than I thought it would be after all that. All right, good. Well,
I don't know.
Oh yeah,
that's a good one.
I think that's going to be solid for you, actually. I like Derek. I've always coveted him.
I like Derek as well. Yeah, I've heard other podcasts talking about well, he's kind of like another Marcus Smart. Like, do we really need 2 of them? But I mean, yeah, why not?
He's a much better scorer than Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's more consistent as an outside shooter than Smart is. Um, again, we really need like a Lonzo Ball, Ricky Rubio, Tyrese Halliburton type who's
I
going
mean,
to
you
run an
had
offense.
Schroeder,
But he's ass and doesn't run an offense very well. So
I gotta
that was
say,
useless.
Kyle, man, out of your favorite players, you're really filling out the my bottom 5 in the league. Schroeder, one of the worst players in the league, probably. Rocco as well. Seth, am I wrong here?
At least of the players who get minutes.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Similar to my Wordle career, my hits are big and my misses are long. You know,
I can't believe we have to talk about your Wordle again when it's in my nightmares. I wake up in a cold sweat thinking about how you get twos in Wordle.
Somebody transition us to football.
Well,
for God's sake.
Did we also want to mention one other trade? Charlotte getting Montrezl Harrell.
I don't know. You guys were complaining about how useless the trades were down this list. So,
I forgot about that one. There were so many.
There were a lot. That's going to be, I mean, they've been looking for a center for 2 seasons, right?
I mean, anything's better than, what's his name?
Which of the Plumleys do they have?
Plumlee brother? Yeah, Mason. Mason Miles.
How's Miles doing? Is he okay? Is he safe?
Is he alive?
Where's the other? Isn't there a third one?
Yeah. One of them went to serve our country somewhere, I think.
I don't recall the third one's name.
Me neither. But yeah, I like the trade. I think it's a nice pick and roll addition for LaMelo to really thrive.
Yeah, I like that a decent amount for them. It does. The only problem is it doesn't really improve their horrid defense.
No, certainly not.
I would have preferred Miles Turner.
Though?
I don't care about
Miles Turner would have been an incredible pickup for them. I'm surprised the Pacers didn't deal him.
Well, he got injured. So that probably put a wrench in things. And I kind of think once that happened and they got Tyrese, they're like, all right, we'll roll with Miles. So
yeah, Tyrese and Turner is going to be nice.
I wonder if they were like, we're going to blow it up or maybe like get draft picks. And they're like, oh, they're offering Tyrese. Okay, we can still be good.
That's 100% what happened.
So, we would have done it for Healed, but okay.
So fucking bad, dude.
How about Sabonis for Healed? And they're like, just Healed? Take Tyrese too.
Get Tyrese out of here. He said he's going to build our culture.
Sabonis might not say a word. Give him to us.
This is why the layman doesn't even know the Kings exist if they can name 25 franchises. All right, so let's talk about football, please. Can we? God, that's our bread and our butter.
There's our transition. I'll put it.
I threw a sick dime the other day in basketball, and I sang that. The people got to know.
Remember that one that I had though?
Oh, Seth or Tom Brady? I don't know. After that pass, Tom Brady's retired, so I guess you. But the Rams are playing the Bengals in a great animal mascot matchup. Actually, I wonder who I'd take in a ram versus a tiger. I guess obviously a tiger, but the ram would get its fair shot of
underrated.
Yeah. Also, in these animal matchups, the predator has never won. So just putting it out there.
Wow.
The Rams
never.
The Rams probably because of that are favored by 4 right now.
What do you mean never? That's not true. 2 animals against each other.
Yeah, 2 animals
in the Super Bowl, and the predator has never won.
Yeah.
There's never been 2 predators pitted
I don't know. I just threw it out there as a throwaway joke. I didn't research it.
See, you can't do that to us.
I was about to go looking Super Bowl by Super Bowl.
It's true. Just
you said
I think it's true. I just didn't look into it too deeply. Seth, you get.
Oh
get
my
IT
God! When will the lies end?
You're gonna tell me the Cardinals have never played another animal in the
Cardinals had a bird of prey.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They never played another team in the Super Bowl and lost.
They lost to the Steelers.
I know. I remember.
That's just people that work at a steel mill. They're not predators. I mean, some of them might be.
That was the first one that came to mind too, but I'm trying to think, have they played any predatory animals?
Seth, your IT, you look on that.
I'm looking at it right now.
I don't even know what to Google in that scenario, so I'm glad Seth has this one.
So the over-under is 48 and a half. 2 4 seeds in the Super Bowl. First time there hasn't been a 1 through 3 seed involved. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I mean, it was
I already proved it wrong.
Let's hear it.
2014 Seattle Seahawks, Denver Broncos. Seahawks won. Seahawks,
much like Seahawks are predatory animals.
They eat fish.
That's
A
true.
predator.
They don't eat horses though.
Oh.
Well,
They might if you give enough of them.
tigers don't eat rams.
Moit.
I mean, well, I guess that random post on Reddit that I saw by username I love 69 wasn't correct. That's weird.
They're usually the ones that have accurate information, though.
I know. The worse the username, I feel like the better they are. So I gotta say, we gotta take just a moment and think about the fact the Bengals are here, right? I mean, if they win the Super Bowl, which they will, obviously, they will be probably one of the most unlikely teams to ever win the Super Bowl. I mean, they were 125-1 to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. That's what their odds were. This is a 10-7 team that's 17th in DVOA, which I love, meaning they're not even above average as a team. And yet here they are at the Super Bowl on the backs of their defense and Joe Burrow coming through in the clutch. So we're going to go over our picks for the game, and then we're going to give you some player props and other props, some fun props that we think that we like in this game. Kyle, why don't you start off and tell me why you're going to pick the Bengals to win? Because I know you are.
I mean, I sure am. It's just like, how can you watch Joe Shiesty play and not root for his team to win?
Can we pause here? What is that nickname? Can you explain it to me?
I don't really know if I can explain it.
This is like one of those basketball reference nicknames.
There was, I'm assuming, I haven't done the research of this. There is a rapper named Pooh Shiesty, Pooh.
What?
Like Winnie the Pooh. Pooh.
Why
Shiesty.
is that his name? What does Shiesty mean?
How are you assuming that?
Where else have you heard the word?
There's some rapper out there named Pooh Shiesty.
No, I'm not assuming. I'm telling you there is.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a rapper named Pooh Shiesty. Has a mixtape called Shiesty Season.
Can you tell me what Shiesty means?
Man, I could look it up.
Is it like slang for something?
Like a shyster.
But Pooh doesn't sound like Joe. Unless it was Poe Shiesty.
Shiesty usually refers to an action that is greedy and or inconsiderate.
So we're
Obviously.
saying Joe is greedy and inconsiderate?
When someone is
Gobbles up those
shiesty,
wins.
it means they don't think about others and do things that help them, even if they know it harms someone else in any way.
Wow.
That's Joe. That's franchise Joe. Joe Shiesty.
Is his name Poe Shiesty? That would make more sense.
Pooh Shiesty.
Well, then I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
That's the rapper's name.
I understand that's the rapper's name. It
Yeah.
doesn't rhyme with Joe.
No, they're just.
It's not Winnie the Poe.
I'm telling you right now. I don't know if Joe got this nickname from said rapper, or if people said Shiesty just makes sense and it sounds good, and there is a rapper named Pooh Shiesty, so let's call him Joe Shiesty.
I can't tell if this is the worst podcast we've ever done or the best. I really.
I can ask Tom Ullman tomorrow. He'll probably know.
There you go. So,
all right, Kyle, give me
knowing that
the Bengals, yeah.
I mean, how do you? I can't root against that. I've been a Burrow fan since LSU, of course. Right, but it's they have the best, if not the best, one of the best wide receiver trios in the league, which we've talked about, and actually, one of the cornerbacks who from the Rams in an interview earlier this week said the same exact thing, that in his opinion, Cincinnati has one of the best wide receiver trios in the league. But there's just so much offensive firepower on that team, and we've seen them overcome so much from better defenses or good defenses in the league. I think really the big eye opener was that massive win that they had against Baltimore in the latter half of the season, where they put like 42 points up on them. Even still with that offensive line, Joe Burrow has showed time and time again that you can knock him down 3 times and he's going to get up 4. So it's like he just creates plays. They have Jamar Chase, who obviously is a stud in his own right in his rookie season. It's like there's just so many weapons for them to use, and I just don't want to root against it. Shoot me. He's frozen.
Now it's Sam's turn to be frozen. So Kyle, you said he gets knocked down 3 times and gets up 4 times.
Mhm.
So he gets knocked down the first time and then he gets up the first time. Knocked down the second time, gets up the second time. Knocked down a third time, gets up the third time.
Then he's gonna trip and he's still gonna get right back up, baby.
Okay,
It doesn't matter who's doing it. He's getting up.
Seth, just tell me why you're picking the Bengals as well. Just give it to me.
Well, the real reason is because I have this physical therapist who is from Cincinnati, lifelong Bengals fan, and I wouldn't be able to look him in the eye of physical therapy next week if I hadn't picked the Bengals. So,
he wouldn't know who you picked, right? Does that often come up in physical therapy?
well, now it does, yeah. I feel like it's been one of those playoffs where really the whole season where I have not been able to predict anything that was going to happen, and nearly everything is a surprise.
Yeah.
You know, after everybody would have said, "Oh, Chiefs Bills, that was the Super Bowl." Basically, after that game, like those are the 2 best teams. Whoever came out of that was going to win, and then the Chiefs lose the next game, and we could go on and on about all the outrageous things that have happened in the NFL season. All the Bengals lost to the Jets. Speaking of our Super Bowl contenders, so
That game they shouldn't have lost, though.
Well, obviously they were playing the Jets.
There was also a horrendous call to end that game.
There was a really bad call, but they shouldn't have been in that position to begin with.
Yeah, so I don't know that I have any X's and O's answers for you. The Bengals have just been so resilient this season. I don't want to bet against Joe Burrow. I think he's better than Matt Stafford already. It just feels like kind of their year, although I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams won. So
this is definitely a toss-up. I wouldn't be surprised by either team. I like that point you made about this playoff set that has been wild. And that's the beauty of the NFL, right? You'd never see a team like the Bengals, their equivalent in the NBA, making the finals, right? Because it's a 7-game series and the better team usually wins, unless there's some freak injuries. And in the NFL, you can get any team can get hot and win a couple games, and look at that, they're in the Super Bowl. And I almost feel like I'm going to pick the Rams here and then just end up rooting for the Bengals when the game starts because I don't really want to root against them. All signs do point to the Rams, though. I mean, I picked them to make the Super Bowl before the season, so I guess I should have some shred of principle, even though I wagered on them before the season started to make the Super Bowl, and then I cashed it out halfway through the season for my money back when they were disappointing me, further proving I am the worst gambler in America, which we already knew.
This was known.
And the Rams are 4th in DVOA, which is quite a bit better than the 17th that the Bengals are. It's a home game for the Rams. We haven't even mentioned this yet. After not having a home game in the Super Bowl all these years, we have 2 back-to-back, although the home field advantage for the Rams is a little less than the Tampa because the Rams don't have any fans, which is part of what you need for a home field advantage. But they do get to sleep in their own beds, and go through their normal routine, which certainly is an advantage, you would think. Aaron Donald.
I've heard of him.
Maybe the best player in the football. He was saying before this game, he's like, I've done everything. I've accomplished everything I have to do in my career except win a Super Bowl. So he's itching for this to really vault him into the pantheon of all-time greats.
You don't think he said that last time he was in the Super Bowl?
Maybe he didn't.
Maybe it wasn't that many years ago.
That's an interesting part of it too, right? The fact that Sean McVay, boy wonder, got upstarted by Bill Belichick in his first Super Bowl, and he's been up late at night in a cold sweat like I am with Kyle's Wordles, thinking about that first Super Bowl, and he's ready to come back. The craziest part is Zach Taylor was on his staff when they went to that Super Bowl.
A lot of people counted Zach Taylor out too after his first year as a
I don't
coach
even know
in
if Zach
Cincinnati.
Taylor's good. He just has Joe Burrow. I mean, who's to say really? I mean, he's probably good, but
They're in the Super Bowl. He can't beat. Well, never mind. I'm not going to say.
They
I mean,
are?
Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl.
Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I was going to say Pete Carroll did that a couple times, so that's why I had to
If we're gonna start basing things on winning, we're gonna have to go
recant,
erase a
okay?
couple podcasts.
I had to recant.
Man, I don't know. And I know we said this about the Titans game, and the Bengals still found a way to win it, but they are gonna have a tough time with that Rams line, right? We know the offensive line for the Bengals is an issue. Everyone has been proven wrong on both sides of the issue as to whether to draft a wide receiver or an offensive lineman last year. They went wide receiver, and he's fucking awesome, and their offensive line sucks. So we'll see if that plays a huge factor, much like it did last year, right? With Tampa Bay's defensive line just destroying the Chiefs' offensive line. That was the difference in the game, right? We'll see if that happens again. I do favor the Rams here, but I feel like I'm just going to find myself rooting for the Bengals when the game kicks off.
If there's anyone out there not knowing who they want to root for or should root for, I'll tell you right now that Bengals tight end CJ Uzoma said that he will take a bath in Skyline chili if Cincinnati wins the Super Bowl.
Was it going to be like they got to cool that chili down, right? It's going to be scalding.
Have you ever seen Skyline chili? I don't think it comes out hot.
What is Skyline chili? Is it different than normal chili?
It's Skyline chili is like the chili version of Portillo's for Ohio.
Oh.
But much worse.
I would take a bath in chili. I don't have to win a Super Bowl to do so.
Google right now a picture of Skyline chili.
Is this gonna be like the time you made me Google gangrene? Because if so, I'm out. Skyline chili, he says. So this is like Cincinnati's go-to local thing. Yeah. What? Is that noodles? Are those noodles?
You don't have noodles with your chili?
No, I don't have noodles.
Is it noodles?
It's definitely noodles. Yeah. You don't have noodles. You have noodles with your chili? We had a chili contest for Halloween last year. We were all there and
no noodles.
There were noodles. Megan made noodles. Not spaghetti noodles. We use like macaroni noodles.
That's a little more reasonable. I've never seen this before, like spaghetti. So are the noodles going to be in the bathtub with him?
That's a great question. St. Patrick's Day, they dye their noodles green. And let me tell you, it's one of the most least appetizing looking things that you could ever see.
Least appetizing. I believe it.
So I wonder if it's going to be like noodles bottom, him lying there, chili on top of him. All right, well, I take that back, man. Bengals all the way
Bengals.
after what I just heard. Let's go over some props that we like, make the listeners some money. And I do like talking about the props in the Super Bowl because it kind of reveals how you think the game flow is going to go, right? This is only one game we're talking about here. There's only two teams, but we can really dive into the nitty gritty by using props. So let me start with Gatorade bath. Just kidding.
I'm all for it. I had that on my prop list.
Okay, go ahead. What are you favoring, Gatorade bath?
I have to go orange. I'm rooting for the Bengals. You know that the NFL doesn't want something that looks terrible. They're not going to drop red on someone that's going to look like a bloodbath. Orange is going to look great with those jerseys. It's got to
Does
be
the
orange.
NFL control what Gatorade is poured over them?
You don't think that the NFL has a say in what the images look like coming from a Super Bowl championship?
My question is, here's my question. The Gatorade tubs, right? Are there like a bunch of different flavors for the players to choose from? That's a great
question too.
Or did they have one flavor on the sideline?
I think it's the biggest mystery in the NFL, to be honest with you. I'm not sure anyone knows.
That or O.J. Simpson? I'm not sure. Well, that's not a mystery. I like that though. Orange. I mean, if I think the Rams are going to win, I should favor yellow, right? Or blue.
Or blue. Or clear. But clear just looks like water.
Clear.
Who wants that?
Well,
I think clear one last
water
year.
counts though. If you wager on, so that you get 2 for 1.
Mm.
And if they happen to dump Pedialyte on them too, that's another one. Seth, what about you? Any Gatorade or are there more serious props?
Well, one I saw was Jason Tatum 3-pointers made versus Rams total touchdowns.
Ooh. I love
I'm
those.
taking Rams total touchdown.
Wow, really?
I mean, Tatum's shooting 32% from three this season, so
That's still better than Spencer Dinwiddie.
yeah, high praise. The other one I like, which according to some random website is plus 500. Any team to kick a game-winning walk-off field goal at the end of regular time. I mean, maybe I'm being greedy asking for such a thing, but if this playoffs is any indication, it seems like a lock.
For real. I mean, that divisional weekend, if the NBA trade deadline didn't kill us, that would have. Every game went down to the wire. I mean, I would love that, man. Ooh, or can we get an OT too? Man, is that too much to ask for? I like first kickoff, no touchback, and I'll tell you why. Pat McAfee let it slip that they use a different football for the first kickoff, which how is this even legal? I don't know. But
wait, what?
I heard,
yeah, they use a
too.
commemorative football for the first kickoff so they can keep it afterwards. And it's heavier than the regular football. Why would they do this? I don't know. But that means they could probably kick it less.
Heavier if it's
I don't know. I don't make the
They don't let the players they don't let the players practice with it either, so they don't get to.
And if Matt Gay kicks it off, he's got a little injury. He's got a little tweak. He can't make it to that fucking.
Is it made of metal or what?
Yeah, it's it's actually straight stainless steel, actually. And you know the guy who's in the end zone, he wants to return that first kickoff. It's the fucking Super Bowl.
Always, yeah.
He wants the Devin Hester.
They want the Devin Hester moment.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that quite a bit. You can
get
get plus money for that too, because most things are touchbacks.
I like that bet.
Also, McPherson, anything McPherson. I like longest field goal over. I like McPherson attempts over. I mean, they do like to kick a lot of field goals, and why wouldn't you when you have Money Mac? I do worry though. I worry for him because anytime a kicker gets a nickname, it seems to become really bad in the coming years. I mean, there's the Money Badger.
I mean, the left leg of Poland was for how long?
That just, I looked that up the other day. I'm pretty sure I just gave that to him because I couldn't find anywhere on the internet that nickname.
Well, maybe that doesn't count then.
Yeah. I mean, the Money Badger is money no longer, so I fear Money Mac may go down the same money road.
Best NFL kicker and nicknames.
All right, you look at that. Kyle, what's your next prop?
So I think it's a high scoring affair. We have players that could score from all over on both sides of the ball or on both teams, whether it be running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. So I like the plus 400 bet of each the Bengals and the Rams to score one or more rushing touchdowns and one or more passing touchdowns. So both teams would have one of each at least.
I like that. Nice plus money too.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Other one that I'm really big on, Burrow and Stafford to combine for 600 plus passing yards, plus 150.
Yeah, I think they're going to be throwing a lot.
Both of them have thrown for over 300 passing yards in 3 of the last 5 games. If it's going to be a high scoring affair, which I'm thinking it will be, then they're going to be throwing the rock. I mean, a 70-yard play for Jamar Chase is an easy, that gets us just under a quarter of the way there.
Perfect. We're right on our way.
Yeah.
I like, speaking of quarterbacks, I like combined interceptions over 1.5. These two.
Stafford's good for 2 by himself.
Stafford's good for 2 by himself. Burrow had 14 this year. He's had a couple in the playoffs. It's a fun one. I like T. Higgins, my boy, the man that I birthed with my own loins, to go over his longest reception. Which number? I can't remember. Somehow I didn't write down the number. I think it's like 29 or something like that. No, it can't be that. 24.5. They like to hit Chase and Boyd in a lot of shallow things. I mean, Chase will get a couple deep looks too, but I think T is really going to exploit this Rams secondary because I think Rams is going to be on Chase a decent amount, and T will be on Darius Williams, who to be kind, has not been great. So I think they're going to be looking at T early and often, and I like that. And I like his yards over in general. Plus, he's on my fantasy team, so I'll be rooting for it as well. Seth, what about your research? What did they come up with?
I did not come up with anything.
What good are you if you're not IT, huh? I guess Kyle's supposed to be our in podcast researcher.
Exactly. I don't want to steal Kyle's job.
Do you have any more props?
I already gave you 2.
Yeah, I'll give you no more.
Coin toss, heads. You got to do it.
Easy money.
I was
Fails
looking
never
at
fails though.
Yeah, but you always got to bet on your head. So I was looking at previous years, what the results of the coin toss is. It's much more favorable to be heads. And I'm wondering if this commemorative coin that they use, due to the whatever they use is tails, whatever is on that side requires just a little bit more weight.
Much like the commemorative ball.
Right. Yeah.
Did you know that in the last 8 Super Bowls, the team that has won the coin toss lost the game?
I did not know that.
So I don't know if it's something with, because they always defer. Maybe it's something with that. Maybe you want to actually take the ball, or maybe it's just random. But what you want to do is live bet. Okay, whoever loses the toss, bet on them to win the game. You heard it here first.
I think. Is there any more Super Bowl talk?
The very first Gary bet in NFL history was given to Bet Ditka. So
there you go.
That's all I have.
I think we'd be remiss to not mention now that NFL awards are being announced tonight as well. Comeback Player of the Year, Joe Burrow. NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jamar Chase. Defensive Rookie of the Year, our boy Micah Parsons, unanimous.
Gotta be, yeah.
Well, we're gonna lose him when the league resets. So, do they announce MVP yet?
No,
award that no one cares about or remembers who won. Do you remember who won MVP last year?
Aaron Rodgers.
All right. Got him.
Cooper Kupp won Offensive Player of the Year, of course. Do we think he wins MVP? I feel like.
I mean, he deserves to, but they don't take the playoffs into account or anything that matters. They only just pick the quarterback who doesn't get vaccinated. So it was Aaron Rodgers this year. It's the dumbest. Is it the dumbest award in sports? Obviously not. But the fact that it has to be a quarterback every year is so dumb.
Most improved in basketball pissed me off every time. So
that's up there. Although Ja is going to win this year,
pick a second-year player because they're supposed to improve. Isn't everyone supposed to improve?
I have been improving. I've just been my same self. I think Ja's going to win this year, though. I think that's deserving.
You want a wholesome story around the Super Bowl that I heard earlier today?
I've been waiting for it.
So when Joe Burrow was rehabbing from his injury, he was rehabbing in LA, and he doesn't know anyone out there. Andrew Whitworth, reached out to him as he was rehabbing as well and was like, hey, if you want to rehab together, I'm rehabbing as well out here. They developed quite the friendship, and Joe Burrow spent numerous Sundays watching NFL games with Whitworth at his house the year that they were both rehabbing. And now they meet in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Incredible. You think they kiss?
That is nice.
Wholesome, I hope so.
Wow. Boys, I am excited for this weekend. We're all getting together. We'll all be together. So I'm sure we'll have many stories from that to tell in the podcast. I'm making whole bed dicks, which for the layman are buffalo chicken dip on Hawaiian rolls, to be specific.
Speaking of, Kyle, do you and Megan like deviled eggs? No response.
Why? How did you even think about
not
it?
Her is a no. Me,
I love deviled eggs.
I'm it depends on the day.
All right.
What about Sunday?
Sounds like I'm bringing them then.
If you show up without deviled eggs, I'll be upset. So
all right, I'll bring deviled eggs and something else. Might bring a dessert as well. We'll see.
Good. Well, we did it, boys. In a tidy hour and a half, we went over the NBA trade deadline and the Super Bowl. They said we couldn't do it. Now we didn't quite fit in handball
Yeah.
of the minor
Hopefully
leagues
next time
variety.
we'll get to minor league handball. Yeah.
Tough one. Have you guys been watching the Olympics?
No.
Nice, me neither. All righty, well, I suppose that'll do it.
Can't find the stop recording button because the screen was too small.